Today I'm going to talk about depression and how I believe there is a huge tie between depression and a spiritual awakening. And before I get on into that, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and here we go. Welcome back to the Radiant Sun. My name is Kendra, and I am going to tell you how I believe depression is linked to a spiritual awakening. I have suffered with depression for many, many years, and I'm very proud to say that I no longer do. And although it's been a good stretch of time that I've been depression free, I haven't actually said it out loud until a couple weeks ago. And the weight that I didn't even know was still there was instantly lifted off, and I can breathe. And it's so nice to just feel human again. You know, when you have depression, you go through these moments where you grow up and you have all these hopes and dreams for your future and the person you want to become, and you're trying to piece it all together, but then you have all this trauma getting thrown into it. So you're trying to plan your future, but then deal with this trauma that you're growing with, and it's not going anywhere until you pay attention to it. But our instant reaction is, that's bad, I don't want it, let's suppress it, and then try to grow. And it's like putting weed killer in your garden. It's not gonna happen. So then we find ourselves in our teens with all of this childhood trauma that we probably aren't even aware is there. And we're trying to have all these preparations for graduating high school, getting into college, getting our first real job, and planning our lives, getting an apartment, starting a family. There's a whole list of stuff that we have to prepare for, and then there's this overwhelming feeling of anxiety, and then seeing other people achieving these goals that we don't even know where to begin with. Then comes on that depression feeling, and it's like, oh my god, this, I'm not gonna amount to anything. How am I supposed to do this? This is an insane amount of expectations that's been put onto me, and I don't even know who the hell I am. And then next thing you know, you're alone in your bedroom, curled up in a ball, bawling your eyes out because you feel so empty inside, because you have no idea what your purpose is here. You feel like a waste of space, almost like if you were gone no one would notice, and that is a terrible feeling to have. And I believe that, hi Bagheera. See, I'm getting emotional talking about this, and every single time I get emotional, he appears. so the magical power of cats with their grounding. So I believe that we get depressed because of the lack of purpose and just being lost in life, having to deal with all this trauma and not knowing where to begin. But a spiritual awakening is when you realize your purpose, you see your true potential, you see a clear map to how you're going to live your life and where you're going to end up, and you get fueled with passion, and it's beautiful. And if you had told me this a few years ago, I would have told you that you're batshit crazy, because that feeling of the depression I was living in every single day was so overwhelming. I couldn't even socialize. I felt like I was literally faking it until I made it. I didn't feel like I had a real personality. Even talking to a camera for the first time, it's like, who am I to be doing this? I don't talk to people. I don't, what, I'm a weirdo. I've always been a weirdo. And how are people supposed to listen to me when when I felt like no one has ever listened to me my whole life? And it's that realization that there are so many people out there who would love to listen to you, and the only thing stopping you is your mind. And it's really all mind over matter. Pulling myself out of depression was just relying on faith that I was truly meant to do something more in this life. And that's something I have always known. And that's something that I was really questioning for a while. Was I really put here to do something more to make a big impact? Or is this just like a crazy game that we're supposed to play, and all the crazy scenarios that we all go through in our minds at one point or another? And then I saw other people pulling themselves out of this rut and making their lives something so incredible. And I knew that if I stuck with it, and I believed in myself despite the lack from other people, I could do it too. Because the only thing separating me from that other person is the amount of faith and belief they have in themselves. And that's something that I lacked for a very long time. So if you feel like you don't have anyone to go to, no one will listen, people think you're crazy, you're a weirdo, you're an outcast, you're the black sheep of the family, no one wants to hang out with you, it's all bullshit. Truly. And I pray that everyone that's going through this can see that light, find their purpose, no matter how weird it might sound or how out there it might sound. Just keep the faith and keep pushing. Keep your mind on positivity and stop letting your subconscious overrun your current reality with all of these negative core beliefs that have been drilled into you from when you were little. And once you are able to break free and see that you have control, you have the power to replace the depression with something magnificent, that's where you're going to start. And it's okay if you don't believe it. Because even when I was just going off of blind faith, I didn't really believe that it was going to lead to anything like what I'm doing now. I just had the faith that what I was doing was going to eventually lead to something meaningful. And I just kept listening to my guides, listening to the signs, listening to my intuition. And I found my purpose. And for the first time ever, I was able to go to my doctor and say, I'm not depressed anymore. I'm not anxious anymore. I'm not miserable anymore. And before I even said that, they looked at me and they said, oh my God, you look great. How are you? That is such an indescribable feeling. And I hope that you can use that as motivation to keep pushing forward. Because you're so close. If you're watching this, you are so close. Keep the faith. Keep your head held high. And something, I don't go by it anymore, but something that got me through a lot was keep your head high and your middle finger higher. But basically saying, fuck you to every limiting belief you have, everybody that's doubting you. And I say I don't go by this anymore just because, your brain doesn't know how you're meaning it. It just hears the word, recognizes it as a negative behavior pattern, and then it just thinks that you're saying it to yourself or somebody else is saying it to you. And sorry, my screen keeps going black. But so that's why I don't say it anymore, but it did get me through a lot. And it's okay to do something that helps, and then once you get to the next stage, you switch it out for something that helps even more. One thing isn't going to serve you for the rest of your life. You have the freedom to switch it up however you'd like. So now instead of saying that, I just say, hey, look at how far you've come. And so many people, I get a real kick out of this. So many people say, just keep pushing forward and never look back. And on one hand, I understand that. don't look back, don't look at all the negative stuff that you've overcome. But on the flip side, look at all that stuff you've overcome. Like, fucking look at it. That's kick ass. Yeah. Kick ass, man. So, I hope this helps. And again, subscribe for more of this content, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace out.